Hello, everybody, and welcome to my new tech blog. I call it the Veteran Programmer. I've been in software business for about 30 years now, and in this blog that I'm just starting out, I'm going to just share some general thoughts, general observations from one who's been in the field for a while. Hopefully, you'll learn something from them. Veteran programmers, new programmers, just insights. That's what I got right now. So, without further ado, let's go into today's topic. I want to talk a little bit about how software development today changed. How is it different from the past 20, 30 years? What has changed? Not necessarily in terms of technology, obviously technology has come and go, but how do we work? What is expected of us? What kind of effort we need to put in? What kind of brain muscles we need to work? And what do we actually do on a daily basis? So let's talk about it. And I'll jump to the end. And I would say the biggest difference as a developer is that you don't need to know absolutely everything around what you're doing. Things are not well like what they used to be. Let me explain. So I've been with one company for many years now, and they were kind of old-fashioned company and doing things the old way. And when I left, I discovered that a lot has changed. I mean, just the range of knowledge that's expected from us is so much bigger than what it used to. It appears to be that way. Um, to get into a job, you need to do lead code. You need to know algorithms. You need to demonstrate live that flip a matrix or whatever it is that they do there, which is not that simple. Um, so, there's that. Now, the programming itself, you need to know a lot more than back in the day that you knew just one language. I was a C guy, C, C++. It's not like that anymore. You jump from one language to another. Every developer can do 3 or 4 languages. It happens to me now that my record is I touched 6 different languages, did small modifications in a day. So a lot more languages, a lot more technologies. Now, when I talk about language, obviously it's not just a language. It's not just knowing the syntax of C++, for example. A language, as everybody knows now, comes with entire ecosystems. It's not just I know the technicalities of JavaScript or TypeScript. I need to know NPM. I need to know how to work with it. I need to know what are the hottest packages right now. I need to get something done. I look at NPM, it's a whole bunch of packages. Which one should I use? Which one are the most popular? Which one is the most supported if I get a problem? Which one are fastest, work the best, blah, 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 blah. So there's a lot to know about an ecosystem around the language, which did not exist back then. Um, so what's in fashion, what's out there. Now, of course, you need to know frameworks, Angular, React, Svelte, whatever. Of course, you need to know Git. Everybody today live and breathe Git, whether it's GitHub or locally doing GitLab or whatever it is you're doing. Everything is done around Git, and that tool is not simple, right? I've looked recently about what's the topic in Stack Overflow that has the biggest amount of questions around it. What's the most asked technology? And it's Git. So it can get complicated, beyond not talking about your basic commits that you do all the time. But to be a real Git virtuoso, you need a few years experience in that. Right. So what else? Of course, there's a whole pipeline, the whole CI/CD, whatever you're using, Jenkins, GitLab, or whatever. You need to know to work with it. You need to know how to build pipelines, how to build them good. Of course, roll out to production. It's not just in the old days you toss something out there. You need to know the pipeline. If you have a robust pipeline, you need to respect it. On top of that, I mean, it's endless. I mean, of course, there's a whole AWS, different services, creating, maintaining, make it all work together, configuration stuff, YAML files. It's all have their own extensive syntax, Docker files, and their own syntax. Some people, need to know Kubernetes, depends if it's used or is expected of you. So on the face of it, there's a lot to know, and people are jumping from one thing to another. And I looked at those people, young developers, most of them, some of them have my age, and I thought, look at them. They must be geniuses. They know all that stuff. There's so much new stuff to know. And they jump from one thing to another. They know so much about everything. And, I was thinking, how do they do it? Is there a new breed of geniuses coming? What's going on? And, after a few weeks in a new job, I figured it out. They don't do that. They don't know everything about everything. It's just things have changed so much that basically you don't need to be a master of any topic. You look things up. Everybody spend their day looking things up. Typically it's Stack Overflow, as a site. Now more and more people move to ChatGPT, especially now that 4.0 came out. Um, Things, of course, there's Copilot. Official documents are, easily available to everyone, which did not used to be. And looking up things is just so much better and so much more efficient than it used to be. So I started doing that as well. I mean, for example, I just give one example. The other day, I need to add authentication to a website, and I quickly look it up and I add it into my code. And I have to admit, I don't know exactly what it's doing, right? Because it was very quickly. I some tutorial on YouTube. Boom, boom, and there you go. People, can log into my website using their Google account, their Facebook account, their GitHub, TikTok, whatever, everything, and that's it. My site is, is behind the standard login page, and I don't know exactly how it works, and that's fine in the new world. I mean, in the old days, this would have been a shameful thing to do. You had to. It was unprofessional. It was rounding corners. It was an ugly shortcut. This, like, if you do that, that would come back to bite you, and um, are you a real developer, or are you some sort of imposter that just doesn't know what he's doing? You're a fraud, you're an empty shell. You felt those things. Like, it's not the right thing to do. I felt like I'm gonna go out of the office, and outside people gonna stand with flags and go to shame, 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 like people do they do in demonstrations whenever they don't get what they want. So I did it, because I don't have the time. I'm jumping from one thing to another, like every developer. I don't know OAuth inside and out. I know that that's the standard solution. And of course, if authentication becomes a big deal, I spiral back into it as I advance. I advance and take a step back and advance, and then, if needed, I read more and more, and then I know more about it as I advance. I don't get paralyzed because I don't know something that needs to get done. It needs to get done quickly. So that's the change. So I felt bad about doing it first time, but everything was quiet. Everything was fine. Everything worked. Nobody waited outside yelling shame. And I realized things have changed. Things have really changed, and today it's okay to have partial knowledge, right? In the old days, you don't do something. Like I said, if you don't fully understand what you're doing, you don't do it. And there was a general feeling that you have to know the whole thing. Like, if I'm going to go to some country, I'm going to go to Paris, I cannot know bits and pieces of information. I need to understand the language if I want to communicate to people. If I'm going to stay there long enough. I need to know the whole grammar, and you got to take, stage by stage, learn the whole language, or it's just not going to work. But that's not the case today. Today, the knowledge is like shrapnel. It's spread out, bits of knowledge here and bits of knowledge there, because there's too much to know. I mean, well, that's one of the things. Let me tell you just, it's a result of three things. How knowledge changed from one unit to shrapnel. Like I said, there's too much to know. I mean, all the things I mentioned above. You cannot contain it all in your head. Nobody knows everything on the top of his head. And, especially you have the developers that are, full stack, that are doing client and server and everything. There's too much, Second thing is the ease of information. Not only there's too much information is super accessible. There used to be those people sitting on buses or trains or whatever with those 1,000-page books, super thick books, intro to Unix or whatever. And we had to remember, we got to page 670 and there was, I'm going to need that. And you bookmark it, and whenever it was needed, you got a copy of the book and you quickly browsed and you started reading and experimenting. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. But today everything is so readily available with, like I said, Stack Overflow and just general Googling and ChatGPT and everything. Knowledge is there. It doesn't need to be in your head. So there is absolutely no reason for it. It's inefficient. You need to be able to find it when you need it, right? But it does not need to be in your head. You're not stuck like the others. You don't just go to sleep on it, and try to visit quickly on the weekend to save time and do more experiments and get it to work. No, it's not like that anymore. So that's two things. Too much to know, easy availability of information. Third thing is that things are generally safe. Now, that's a general statement, not always true, but in most cases, we are dealing with safe languages: JavaScript, TypeScript, Python. We don't do the dangerous stuff that we used to do in C, C++. We don't do memory allocations on our own languages today. Have the environment, they have garbage collection. Things are safe. They don't. All those mistakes that those of us who've been there know, the memory leaks, the mistakes that are very, very hard to find, that your software becomes slower and slower and slower, and you get to start restarting and restarting and you don't know where and what change you made. And it becomes in a complicated software almost impossible to find the problem. It's not like that anymore. I mean, unless of course you're doing C, C++. Even in a modern iteration, you have Golang, which can pretty much do what C can do, but they took out pointer arithmetic. Right? That's the most dangerous zones out there were taken out because it was so terrible. So you really had to know what you're doing. And today, if you make a mistake, in most cases, it's not that bad. We used to call it romantic bugs, like because it's like an upset girlfriend. Like you see something is wrong, something is not right. You just feel something is not right, but you don't know where, and it's not going to tell you. It's just going to let you figure out on your own what you've done wrong, which could take days, weeks, months, even. So that doesn't happen anymore. So hey, what happens if you've done something wrong? You'll see it, you'll discover it, and you'll discover it very quickly. In front end, you will very quickly. Back end might take a little longer to find things, but you will find out what's wrong, and it's not. Nothing is as bad as the memory leaks and memory problems we used to have with the low level unsafe languages. So hey, well, what's going to happen if you don't know everything? You'll get to it. Not going to cost as much as it used to. So these are the three reasons why I think shrapnel, dispersed knowledge, is okay these days. It's just a reality. That's it. That's what I wanted to say. You just, if you're in my situation and you got a little scared when you got out there and you don't know what's going on, and it seems like they're all geniuses and everything, just remember today's programmer is measured or should be measured largely by how quick he can look things up. It's not about what you have in your head. It's you got to something, do you know where to look? Do you know, boom, boom, quick Google, quick YouTube video, and now you know what you need to know for the task in front of you right now. That's how programmers should be measured. And I think if I was doing job interviews again, I would give a task, open book, so to speak, with everything. You can Google, you can look whatever you want. Let's see if you know, and if you don't know, which is fine, how quickly can you look it up? You don't need to know it. You need to be able to find it when you need it. That's what it's about. It's not hard once you understand how things work these days. It's definitely much easier than it was 20 years ago. You don't sleep on things when they don't work anymore. You don't spend all those sleepless nights. We used to do all-nighters twice a week, to get things done. Those things are easier. They're different now. It looks a little intimidating at first, but you understand the way of the modern developer works. It's not that hard. Don't get paralyzed by it. Don't let it slow you down. Don't let it scare you. It's not hard. Just learn the new way of working. That's it for today. Thank you.